M1220.
510 here on KHTS. It has been a little over a month since California lawmakers approved a statewide rent cap. The bill limits annual rent increases to 5% after inflation, offers new barriers to eviction. Here to deliver added insight and to hopefully pass along some good news regarding our local housing market. It is the altruistic, the always gregarious Richard Szerman of Alta Realty. What's happening, Rich? Oh, yeah. The bearer of bad news? Question mark?
Well, it's not bad news or good news. The rental thing that you're talking about is probably something the state needed. I'm very much on the other side of that issue. I think rent should be determined by landlords and communities, but rather than by the state. But something had to be done. I don't know that that's going to get the state where they want to go.
Well, this bill, I was reading an article. Yeah. It seems to me as though they are providing localities more of the power to kind of control
but there's a lot of it that's still kind of nebulous. It's going to be tested. I mean, it's before this bill really takes effect. It's going to be tested. They're going to be lawsuits. It's going to go to court. It's going to be a while. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, I think we'd all like affordable rent.
Right.
That's not a bad thing. Having people priced out of the ability to have a house at all, I think, is probably a bad thing overall. I just don't know that this is the best way to go about it. So,
right.
Because California is just too huge. I mean, whenever you do something that you have to apply on both Fresno and Santa Clarita, there are going to be differences, and I think you operate at your peril when you do that sort of thing. And the state has a bad habit of doing that.
Well, our state, I mean, you probably know. Yeah. I mean, of course you know, but we're dealing with the highest homeless rate of any state in our country. And I've seen the whole housing market crisis described as whack-a-mole. You try to provide one solution and another pops up in another place.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, whenever you're trying to govern something even as narrow as the housing market, a state that is as large and as diverse as this one is, which, I mean, just from where we are here in Valencia, you go to Newhall, you go to the other side of the hill, and it's a whole different economy. And I mean either hill, any hill, it's a different economy. Real estate is regional, very, very hyper-regional, if you like. And this, I think, is the result of having opportunity after opportunity to present better solutions and not really having any. So that's the state had to do something, and this is sort of how it manifested itself. I mean, we'll see what happens once the law gets tested, once it goes to court and gets bounced around a little bit. We'll see, because, like I said, overall, I don't think it's a bad idea myself. I just don't know that this is the best way to reach that solution. But as far as the rest of the real estate market in general, the news is the same. I mean, if you've got a house to sell, do it now, because you've got until about the middle of next year, and then we're going over a cliff, and that's just the way it is. And I've not seen anything. Again, I keep saying this every time. I hope I'm wrong about this.
Right.
But so far, everything I've said for the last 2 years has pretty much come to pass as far as what was going to go on in the housing market and inflation in general. There are a lot of indicators out there that should be making their way to a much stronger point into the news cycle, because they're warning signs and they're flashing red. Mm-hmm. But they're not, because every time we turn around, we have a chief executive who decides he needs to be in every single story. I'm surprised he's not going to be the punter for the Bills next week, so he can be in the sports pages as well.
Well, I think he might be trying to be the commissioner of the NBA now.
Yeah, maybe, sure, why not? Any job's better than president for him. Anyway, without getting into the politics of it, it's just because this much of the news cycle is only as wide as it is, a lot of this isn't getting through, and it's very, very unfortunate, because what's going to happen this time was the same thing that happened last time. Is a lot of people are going to go, "Oh my God, what happened? How did this happen?" When those of us are out there, yelling, ringing alarm bells, and nobody's listening. I mean, at the beginning of the summer, I said, watch the price of gas. We are one disaster away from a large price increase. We are 2 disasters away from a worldwide problem. We got one disaster where the pipelines in Saudi Arabia were bombed. So, and that caused the price of gas to spike, because there's no backup for it. A lot of the things that should, to give an example, there are a lot of safety nets in every economic system. With the price of gas, we have a lot of refineries on the West Coast. 2 of those refineries shut down for routine maintenance at the height of the market. You don't do that unless you're looking to spike the price of the commodity that you're producing, in this case, gas. Mm-hmm. With houses, what should have happened, and this is the biggest thing with houses, the interest rate, and I hate to say this, the interest rate should have gone up. It should have gone up even higher than it is now, and it should have gone up at least twice as a bulwark against inflation. But when you politicize the Fed, which is what's happened now, the Fed gets their hands tied. They can't really do that. And when it's sort of like, we all learn as kids, you eat your peas before you eat your cake. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be. And if you eat only cake, you get fat and die. That's how that works. And that's kind of where we're at with the economy. We've refused to do the things that need to be done. We've sucked down most of the safety nets that should be in place now that aren't. And when the storm comes, and I promise you it's coming, it's going to be 10 times worse than it should have been, because we have not raised the interest rate. We have wiped out a lot of the safety nets that should be there for housing and other things. And on top of everything else, we gave the banks one of the biggest tax cuts in history, so they're all incredibly happy no matter what they they do now. And the CFPB's been shut down, so the banks feel they can do no wrong. That's a bad set of circumstances if you're a homeowner.
He's Richard Szerman of Alta Realty. It's increasingly surprising to me that no politician has ever tapped you to help, shape policy or anything like that. Have they come to you?
Oh, no. I'll tell you two very quick stories. I've been asked by both members of the Democratic Party and members of the Republican Party to take a political interest and to run for office. And I always say the same thing. It's very flattering when people say nice things to you and they want you to do this stuff. It's very nice. It's very lovely. I am not that guy. Because imagine it this way. If you were part of my staff and I ran for any office, dog catcher or above, anyone working on my staff would be in permanent damage control mode.
Right.
And I don't think that's fair to do to people.
Even as an outside advisor, helping shape the policy.
Well,
since I feel like you're in the trenches every day.
I really like it in the trenches. But as a very high-ranking member of the California, let's just say political community, we'll leave it at that, once told me about a year ago, no politician ever lost their job for doing something. Or for not, I misquoted. No politician ever lost their job for not doing something.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, never lost their job for the idea is anytime you take a position on anything, if you're wrong, you lose your job. If you're right, you just keep your job.
Lose-lose.
Yeah, so it's a zero-sum game for them. So most politicians, God bless them, don't want to stake out a position, don't want to go blaze a path. They just want to do their job and keep their job. And that's a really bad reason to become a public servant, in my view, but you'd have to talk to them. I suppose most of them would tell you that they're busy with other things. I'm busy with this.
He's averse to running for office, but he is not averse to providing those solutions to me and young people everywhere. It's becoming increasingly evident that home ownership is becoming increasingly unattainable. More U.S. households are renting than any point in 50 years. You guys recognize this at Alta Realty. You guys are throwing money instead of throwing money into monthly renters fees, you guys are providing an alternative. Talk to me a little bit about.
We have a couple of things. The one there that you're talking about is the Rental Rebate Program. With the Rental Rebate Program, what we do is if you're renting a property, we will literally, this is not an exaggeration, we will literally give you money to help buy a house. Because we run into people all the time who want to buy a house, who don't have enough money to do it for a down payment, that sort of thing. So we literally give away money based on your rent. We can give you 10% of the rent that you've already paid back to go buy a house. It's literally that simple. I'm very fortunate in that I have a fairly successful firm. We've done pretty well. I mean, nobody's getting wealthy, but we've done pretty well over the years. And instead of spending money on buying sports cars, which I would enjoy very much, or some other things, I choose to spend my money on helping people and trying to do what's right. Because unfortunately, as a friend of mine likes to put it, I am cursed with conscience in a business that doesn't really have much. And I'm not applying that to all realtors. There are a lot of very fine people in this business, but I think your listeners would agree that as a whole, realtors are not exactly the most, let's just say, reputable group of people on the planet, unfortunately, because there are a lot of bad actors. And people who are listening to this right now all have at least one or two in their mind as I'm saying this.
For sure.
So we seek to change that. We've been trying to change that for a long time. And the best way to do that, in my view, is put your money where your mouth is. So when we have somebody who wants to buy a house, we've got several in the office now. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons I was almost late today, I was dealing with a client who they're about $2,000 short of being able to buy their first house. Well, so we'll give them the money. They'll buy their house and everybody's happy. It's not that big a deal. We already had it in place for them. They just didn't know. They weren't paying attention. But now they know. So it was a very fun phone call to say, hey, it's not a problem. We got it covered. We're giving you the money. You're cool. And they went, you're going to give us $2,000? I said, okay, we're going to give you $4,000. But yeah, sure, fine. Great.
Awesome.
You're good. So they're very happy with that. But there are a number of things we do like that. There's the Resale Renovation Program where we give people money to buy houses. I'm sorry, that's the Rental Rebate Program. You should know the name of my own program. The Rental Rebate Program where we give people money to buy houses.
You guys are the only ones doing programs like these, right?
Yeah, I don't see anybody else giving away.
Right, yeah.
There's the Resale Renovation Program, which I get a better name so I can remember these things. The Resale Renovation Program where we give sellers money to fix up their houses for sale. And we've expanded that program massively. In fact, I think last time I was I was telling you there's a house in Saugus where it would have sold for about $320,000. It was in horrible shape. They were just beat up. They were hoarders, unfortunately. Could only get them $320,000 for it. We went in. We invested about $130,000 in the house, which we just did for them. We got the money back. Obviously, we're not giving away $130,000, but they didn't pay it. There were no payments. There's no interest or anything. We put that money into their house, and we worked out a deal with them where we got a portion of the proceeds, but the majority went to the seller. And basically, what happened is we took a risk with the seller, with our money, and with my money. And what happened in return is the seller almost doubled what they would have had. They would have gotten about $70,000 out of that in the original plan. Now they wound up with about $140,000. which is much, much better. And if you're retiring, doubling that is a big, big deal. So that's the kind of stuff that we do. And of course, we do foreclosure defense for free. We've been doing that for many
Free
years.
loan modification
Free
as well.
loan mods, all for. Well, we've branched out beyond that, not just loan modifications. We're also doing forbearances and write-downs and all sorts of other things now that we've sort of branched our way into and are doing more and more. So if you're buying a house, selling a house, you have a problem with a mortgage, come give us a call. We'll be happy to help you. Probate matters, we're getting deep into those as well. We're seeing more and more stuff in the office. See, I can always tell which way the economy is going by the amount of calls I'm getting. When you do a pro bono service to protect people from foreclosure, you kind of wind up, intentionally or not, you wind up with your finger on sort of the economic pulse of the market, because I just know by the call volume how many files I have on my desk, how many files we have in my office. I can tell you which way the market is going. And I'm telling you, for the last 2 years, the call volume that I'm getting, the number of files that I'm getting, has multiplied exponentially.
Wow.
We've got, I think, 400 or 500 files in the office right now, and they're all pro bono those files anyway, are all pro bono cases, and they're all people that are local here, and they're all in trouble, every one of them. Some aren't local, I suppose, but they're all Southern California, and they're all people who are in trouble. And it's the bank's attitude has been ridiculous and remains ridiculous, and it's only gotten worse. So we're here for you. Whatever you need in real estate, we're here for you. And there are things that we can do and things that we do that other people either choose not to, or are not equipped to, or just don't want to. So we're not your average realtors. We're not your average real estate company.
You're like a super realtor.
I'll take that. Sure.
Yeah, you're like I feel like you deserve a reality show. You're doing all the things just without the cameras.
Yeah. Well, we dabbled with that. We dabbled with that some years ago as well.
Yeah. Oh, is that right?
Well, every time they referred to me as talent, I would giggle. So maybe I'm not the right guy to be in front of the camera. But but that was fun. It was a fun project. It was fun. Although I learned one very important lesson: do not go through the drive-through at In-N-Out with a camera crew.
Oh,
because they will tell you it's a reality thing. Pretend we're not here. The people at In-N-Out do not share that opinion. There was a sheriff's helicopter involved. There was a whole thing. Yeah, it was loads of fun a couple of years ago. I just causing trouble everywhere I go. All I wanted was a hamburger, and they said, pretend we're not here. I said, okay, and I drove through, and all hell sort of broke loose at that point. I get it. The people at In-N-Out do not want their stores videotaped without their permission. I totally respect that. I get it. That was a screw-up on our part. I'm not saying anything. I love In-N-Out. I'm not saying anything bad about that.
Yes.
I don't want to be banned from their place. I like their burgers.
Of course not.
But, and the sheriffs were very nice about it. They thought it was very funny, but oh my gosh, it was something else. But I'm just like, my life just works like that. It's just the way. I found out on my way here that I've been married with my wife, my wonderful, wonderful wife, for 24 years.
Today's not your anniversary, is it?
No, actually, I found out something worse. My wife is an attorney, and she has to get her California Real ID, and so she had to get her marriage license. And she thought she had it, couldn't find it. We checked, and it turns out it was never filed. We were never actually married.
Are you kidding me?
So, yeah, I just found out on the way here. I've been laughing about it. I just found out on the way here that I'm not married, apparently.
Yeah, I think one of the Jenner boys, Brody Jenner, just went through one of those situations where he got married in a foreign country, and they were never legally married. They had the whole ceremony and everything. They were never legally.
This was 24 years ago. I got pictures. This was very nice. There were all sorts of witnesses. There was dancing involved. It was loads of fun. She had a very nice dress.
Did you get to go on another honeymoon?
I'm all for that. That's what I told my wife's response to this, because I thought she was very frustrated. I thought it was very funny.
It's funny.
Her response was, well, then you're going to have to marry me again. And I said, well, I don't know. Maybe I got better options than that. Oh. And she said, you do not have better options than that. I'm the best option you are ever going to have. And she was absolutely right. So maybe not such a good idea to joke about that with her, or talk about it on the air. This may not go well for me later today. But anyway, but we talked. So now the plan is, what the hell? I'll have a second honeymoon out of this. That's what we're going to wind up doing, I think. We'll just get married again. Why not? So
he is the recently married Richard Sherman.
Soon to be married.
Soon to be married. Soon to be remarried.
I don't know. Just remarried? I don't know what you call it.
I'll be expecting my save the date in the mail anytime.
Oh, sure, you bet.
He's a local superhero, real estate extraordinaire, richsherman.com. That is Sherman, SZERMAN. Any chance with your new nuptials of a name change?
No,
Sherman with a S.
My wife would like to do that because her maiden name was Lewis, which is nice and normal, and she's had to spend the rest of her life explaining that Sherman has a Z sounds of an age.
Maybe it could be Richard Lewis. That works.
That wouldn't be bad, but no, I've been Sherman with a Z for a long time. I think I'm going to stay that way. I'm a little set in my ways with that.
Look, if you'd like to learn more about the Rental Rebate Program, I think you do need to change these names.
Yeah, Rental Rebate, Resale Renovation. Let's put it this way. If you need money to buy a house, give us a call. If you need money to help fix up a house to sell, give us a call. If you're having trouble keeping your house and you have trouble with your mortgage, give us a call. If you have a real estate issue, give us a call. We will help.
Go to richsherman.com. That is Sherman with a Z.
Yeah.
You can also visit their office on Turney Road, just off the freeway in Valencia. You can also give them a call, 661-253-3000. That is 253-3000.
Or if it's after hours, my cell phone, you actually can reach me at this 24 hours a day. a day as well. This is my personal cell phone. I'm happy to give it out on the air. I like my job a lot, so I like getting calls all day long. 661-714-1400. That number again is 661-714-1400, and you can reach me at that by voice call or by text 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Thanks for coming in, Rich.
Love it. Thanks for having me in.
Till next time.
Thanks.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.